Welcome back to CIA Declassified. Today we look at the most elaborate Langley performance in the history of intelligence. The setting is Tehran, November 1979. The American embassy has been overrun, but 6 diplomats have slipped through the fingers of the revolutionaries. They are hiding in the Canadian ambassador's residence, essentially buried alive in a city that is foaming at the mouth to find them. Every exit is blocked by the Revolutionary Guard. To get them out, the agency didn't need a commando raid. They needed a script, a camera, and the most audacious lie ever told to a border guard. This was Project ARGO. To save the Langley guest, the CIA had to become a movie studio. The agency established a front company in Hollywood called Studio 6 Productions. They rented office space that had previously been used by Michael Douglas to give the operation an industry legitimacy. A quote from Tony Mendez, the exfiltration specialist. If you're going to tell a lie, tell a big one. We didn't just need fake passports, we needed a full-scale Hollywood publicity campaign to make the Iranians believe we were actually making a movie. End quote. The agency bought full-page ads in Variety and The Hollywood Reporter announcing the production of ARGO, a science fantasy epic, to ensure that any Iranian agent checking the trades would find evidence of the film. A quote from John Chambers, Oscar-winning makeup artist and former CIA asset. The goal was to create a paper trail so thick that nobody would think to look past the glitz of the production. End quote. Tony Mendez carried a script based on the novel Lord of Light by Roger Zelazny, Zelazny. The artwork for the film was created by legendary comic artist Jack Kirby to give the portfolio an authentic look. A quote from the Declassified after-action report. The success of the exfiltration depended entirely on the diplomats' ability to maintain their artistic persona under the intense scrutiny of border officials. End quote. The CIA actually hosted a launch party for the film in a Hollywood nightclub, inviting real industry figures to ensure the buzz around the movie was documented by Society columnists. A quote from the memoirs of Tony Mendez. I told them if anyone asks, you're not Americans, you're Canadians with an attitude. Movie people are arrogant. Use that to hide your fear. End quote. The fake Studio 6 phone calls line in Los Angeles was actually answered by CIA personnel who were trained to sound like harried, fast-talking Hollywood assistants to anyone who called to verify the production. To prepare the house guest for their roles, Mendez forced them to walk through a crowded Tehran bazaar to test their nerves before they ever attempted to reach the airport. A quote from the Canadian ambassador Ken Taylor. The documents they brought were perfect. They didn't just look like passports, they looked like they had been handled by 100 custom officials across the globe. End quote. The agency went as far as creating day out of days shooting schedules and fake storyboards showing scenes that would specifically require the desert landscapes of Iran. On the morning of the escape, the group entered the airport at 5 a.m., purposely choosing a shift change for the Revolutionary Guards to maximize confusion and fatigue among the inspectors. A quote from a declassified CIA cable. The target group has cleared the first gate. They are currently discussing camera angles with the guards. The ruse is holding. End quote. The Swiss Air flight they used was named ARGO, AARGAU, which Mendez took as a lucky omen as it sounded nearly identical to the name of their fake movie. Official logs reveal that the CIA had a Plan B involving a high-speed overland dash to the Turkish border if the airport checkpoint had failed. But even in the files, the most critical act of the play is blacked out. The section titled The Iranian Data Specs contains the highest concentration of redactions in the ARGO archive. Over 1,100 pages of technical equipment manifest are completely missing. Why is the camera gear still a matter of national security? Get ready for the theory of the script swap. Speculation suggests Project ARGO was actually a cover for a technical heist. This theory claims the redactions hide the Iranian data specs from 1980, alleging the CIA used the film cases to smuggle out a highly advanced Soviet radar component they had liberated from a base near Tehran. What if the movie was real? A dark rumor suggests the CIA actually filmed a forbidden movie in Tehran that contains footage of things they didn't want the world to see. This theory claims the redactions in the celluloid inventory hide the existence of occult evidence captured at an ancient site while the crew was scouting locations, and the escape was a secondary objective to protecting the film. Some imagine the 1,100 redacted pages hide the fact that several Hollywood elites were actually deep cover agency assets who provided more than just office space. Perhaps they were there for psychological anchoring of the diplomats. Theorists looking at the blacked out audio capture logs argue the boom mics were actually high-powered listening devices used to map the Iranian leadership's private communications, and the black bars hide the transcripts of the 1979 coup planning. Rumor says the location scout redactions hide evidence that the crew found an underground facility that the agency is still using to this day, and the sci-fi artwork was actually a literal map of the tunnels. Gossip suggests the black bars in the correspondence section hide the price the U.S. paid Canada for their cooperation, allegedly a secret satellite handover that shifted the balance of Cold War space power. In the final, most heavily inked section regarding long-term assets, some whisper that the Studio 6 never really closed and has been producing scripted events for the global news cycle since 1981. Some believe the optics research redactions hide a lens technology developed by the agency that could see through concrete to locate the other 52 hostages held in the embassy. There's a theory that the visual effects section is redacted because the CIA used holographic projections to fool the airport guards into seeing a much larger film crew than was actually there. Gossip around the archive disposal files suggests the agency burned a master tape that proved the Iranian Revolution was actually a studio production gone wrong. Looking at the blacked out customs declaration list, theorists argue the crew smuggled out nuclear centrifuge parts hidden inside the sci-fi props. And lastly, in the section regarding deception architecture, some whisper that the agency is currently running a Project ARGO 2 to mask a massive global relocation of assets. Was Project ARGO a success? Tactically, it was a flawless success. All 6 diplomats were extracted without a single shot fired or a single cover blown. The Studio 6 ruse worked perfectly against a highly motivated enemy. Strategically, it was a complex success. It boosted the agency's morale during the dark period, but it also solidified the deception doctrine, the idea that Hollywood and intelligence are two sides of the same coin, a realization that has led to deep public mistrust in the decades since. As far as technological and operational breakthroughs are concerned, the Hollywood heist changed how the agency tells a story. For instance, corporate fronting, the development of deep cover entities that can pass a full financial and media audit. publicity masking, using mass media to create a reality that serves as a cover for covert operations. Exfiltration psychology, techniques for stress management that allowed untrained civilians to act like professional spies. And interagency cooperation, the blueprint for international sanctuary protocols between the US and its closest allies. Project ARGO shows us that sometimes the most believable truth is a complete work of fiction. As the files reveal, in the world of the agency, if you don't like the reality you're in, you just hire a director to change the set. Thanks for listening, and join us next time as we examine Project Aquatone. In the mid-1950s, the agency needed to see behind the Iron Curtain without being shot down. Project Aquatone was the secret development and deployment of the U-2 spy plane. We'll uncover the Area 51 origins, the high-altitude photography manifest, and the moment the agency realized that he who holds the highest camera holds the truth. Join us next time for The Angel in the Sky. In the meantime, I'll see you in the archives.